Hey, guess what? It's 11:01 on the 27th day of. I know it's mad, but of March, and it's time you get locked and loaded for another presentation of Voices. We have with us a very special personality in studios with us today. That person needs no introduction whatsoever, but we'll do, go through the motions. We want to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening to just about everyone around the globe, whatever time zone you're in. Welcome to another episode of Voices. My name is Socrates, host of today's program, and we'll come back and get into the nitty-gritty of today's presentation after a few kind words from our sponsors.
Shop, hunt, and win this Easter with Shop TDC. Hop over to shoptdcgroup.com, register, and start hunting. Search the website for hidden eggs and crack them open to discover amazing deals, exciting giveaways, and more. But wait, customers who spend $250 or more are automatically entered for a chance to win weekly prizes. Don't miss out on the excitement. Visit shoptdcgroup.com today to start hunting. Promotion ends April 6th, 2024. Terms and conditions apply. Shop anywhere. Shop anytime.
What has you so happy?
My home internet just got upgraded, and I didn't even have to pay for it.
What? Which network you have?
Flow. Now I can get the fastest fiber internet in St. Kitts and Nevis for the lowest price.
Fastest internet for the lowest price? What's the catch?
No catch, my friend. 100 megabits per second for just $135 a month. With Flow, you truly get the best internet experience around.
Switch to Flow for the fastest fiber internet at the lowest price. Visit a Flow store today. Conditions apply.
Welcome back to our viewers and listeners. Today is another presentation of Voices. I'm Socrates, playing host today. I have a personality in the studio with me who was a host long before I ever dreamed. Hostess, sorry. Of coming on the airways. And we have with us today the president of the St. Kitts Nevis Reparations Committee in the person of Ms. Carla Astafan. And today we'll be discussing all things relevant to reparation. You sent me a communique a couple of days ago informing, just about everyone that on the 25th of May, a couple of days ago, March 25th, was the International Day of Remembrance of the Victims of Slavery and the Transatlantic Slave Trade, May 25th.
March 25th.
March 25th. Because May 25th, I'm thinking Liberation Day.
African Liberation Day.
Definitely, I'm looking forward to that. And the specs aren't as good as they should be. So, once again, welcome to the studios, airways of WINNFM, Lady Carla Stefan. And it's always a pleasure and an education, opportunity for education every time you're here. So, we're going to have you do your presentation before we open up the lines to have folks engage you. I know they're looking forward to engage you, and you have a lot to share with the public. So once again, welcome to the studios, and the microphone is yours.
Good morning, Socrates and King Socrates, and thank you for that beautiful welcome. Thank you, Jamster, for manning the controls. As chair of the St. Kitts Nevis National Reparations Committee, I come to you bringing greetings from the committee SKN NRC, we have been working hard, as a committee. So we have decided to start a slew of conversations with the public with regards to reparatory justice. What is reparations? The reparations that CARICOM Reparations Commission and of course the St. Kitts Nevis National Reparations Committee is looking to right the wrongs committed during the enslavement of our ancestors, the Africans who were stolen from Africa and brought here. What has been happening? There's a lot that has been happening globally, and which affects us here in the region as well. We've had apologies being done by the Dutch. This morning I received an email from the Guardian newspaper. The Guardian had issued an apology last year, and they have made serious strides towards changing the climate of the organization. We had an apology by the Church of England where they have created a fund as a reparations for the injustices that their own
involvement.
That institution's involvement in the slave trade and slavery. We heard of Laura Trevelyan from the Trevelyan family when she found out that her family owned 1,006 enslaved people and were compensated in Grenada. We've heard of the Gladstone family, who also made an apology to the people of Guyana and just recently they had visited Guyana and created a fund as well there. I want to focus on what we have been doing here in St. Kitts.
In the Federation.
Last year, I may have mentioned that before, I had found out through the channel, it came through tourism, an email had gotten to tourism in the year 2020, the Ministry of Tourism, and somehow it finally ended up on the desk of Miss Dorothy Warner, who heads the UNESCO Slavery Project. She sent it to me. I received it in May of 2023. Got very excited about it. Why? Because in that email, the historian, said that a firm in England, a brewery in England, had discovered that their original owners had owned enslaved people in St. Kitts and were compensated for it. As it turned out, it was both St. Kitts and Montserrat, but St. Kitts to a larger extent.
They were compensated.
Yes, so that the original owners, the man's name was Benjamin Green, and his son, Benjamin Buck Green, he sent his son, Charles Green, to man the estate. So all these people were, names that came up in my research that I had done, that I have done since finding out about this. So I was able to reach out to the CEO, of the company, which is called Green King Breweries. And he responded to me. I wrote to him via LinkedIn, and he responded to me, and then I started communicating with that company. We are at the point where we've had communications via email and met briefly as a team. I don't want to give any further on that.
At this point.
But I did speak with the Prime Minister prior to that meeting. Because what we would like to find out, and what our Prime Minister Drew has said, he has his own ideas, but what does the public think as to what sort of reparatory justice? So to give you an overview, Benjamin Green was a brewer. His friend, Patrick Blake, invited him to buy estates on St. Kitts. He ended up owning 2 estates at abolition. One estate was Confip's estate. The other estate was Phillips's estate. On those two estates, the total compensation for 200 and I believe 30-something people was equivalent in our money today to £500,000 sterling. So back then it was about £3,000 to £4,000.
Totality.
But in today's money, it equates to 500,000
pound sterling.
Pound sterling, yes. So back then, Benjamin Buck Green, a brewer, was able to climb from being just a brewer to even becoming the deputy governor, I believe, of the Bank of England. He was against abolition. So all of those things are noted in the history. So the company that he found, which was the brewery, he passed it to his son, Edward Green, in 1837. So, of course,
3 years after
abolition.
emancipation.
Here in St. Kitts, his son, Charles Green, came here to man the estate. So you can see that the monies would have, of course, gone into
investments.
Yeah, into those investments. And so the Edward Green would eventually form a partnership with someone with the surname King. And so the company became Green King. And so it's a line of breweries, a line of pubs called Green King Pubs. There is currently. Mm-hmm. And so these folks, on the heels of the George Floyd murder in England, a lot of companies started delving into their background.
Corporate history.
Yes. And so they found out that the initial owner of that company, Benjamin Green, was compensated at abolition. Almost simultaneously, the University College of London put out its database of all persons who were compensated, all companies, institutions, whatever, who were compensated for the abolition of slavery. So there's a whole website. I think I've shared that with Jamster before.
Would like you to share it with me?
Yes.
Thank you.
So you can, sometimes I just go on it and, I put in St. Kitts. I know by now 761 claims were paid out for St. Kitts. I guess it doesn't stick in my head much about Nevis, but all of that is there. You put in Nevis, you look at the names, you see what estates were owned, you see who you can just go down a rabbit hole basically, right? So this company said in August of 2020, they discovered, as I was saying, on the heels of the George Floyd murder, that their original owners owned enslaved people on St. Kitts and Conflips and Phillips's. Yep. And they also own 6 enslaved people on Montserrat. So in total, they were paid compensation. Now, these people, of course, do not want to be aligned with this today.
That's stigma.
Right? So they had put out and said that they would give donations to institutions. They specifically said the Black, Asian, and minority ethnic groups in England. As I read the articles, and there are numerous articles online about what was done back in 2020. So, having read this, I said, but Black, Asian, and ethnic and minority groups.
It poses a question.
It's like, what about St. Kitts? This is where the wealth grew. Right? This man ended up owning shipping, become a shipping magnate. He, all of those things.
As a result of investment from the reparations that they received.
As a result of owning estates.
And the reparations, they were paid reparations.
Course, yeah, but he got into shipping even before reparations. I'm saying even before being compensated. So, which means his wealth grew while owning sugar plantations here on this island. You understand? So when I wrote to them, basically my message was, yes, I've seen all of what you've said. Acknowledge that. But what about doing something for St. Kitts. So right now, that's where we're at. We are looking to see what's best, what would work out. People may have some ideas. I've gotten ideas from various people. They themselves are looking to what best fits for them,
yes,
and so on. So I wanted to bring that to the public to show. In the meantime, I'm also working with a person who is very, very gung-ho about reparations as well. I'm sure he doesn't mind if I call his name online. So outside of the committee doing his work, Justin Hawley, who's all the way in Dubai, from now and again, he would send me other
relevant information
as to those persons who were compensated.
They were published, okay.
Yeah, so like what is owned today, right? So up to yesterday, he sent me something, and so the thing is, we are digging. There was one, what's his name? Briscoe. I don't know if you've heard of Briscoe. Let me see, where do I find him? I do have it at hand. So there are all these estates. Like for instance, when you're doing your tour, we talk about, I just see Great Heed here, Bertie Great Heed, who was compensated. Do you know we have a Great Heed Pond? Do you know where's Great Heed Pond?
No, I don't.
I talk about it on the train. So you see that pond at Connery?
Yes.
It's called Great Heed Pond. Okay?
And you found the name.
And the name Great Heed appears here. Great Heed family owned an estate called Canneries Estate. Right? So a lot of times people were saying Connery came from the French. I don't know if it did come from the French or whether out of the Great Heed owning Canneries, C-A-N, and it's on an old map. Someone sent me that. Yes. Charles Bertie, the Honorable Charles Bertie Percy. And there's Connery Estate. There's Great Heed Pond. So I have a little map here. And yeah, so the Great Heed family actually was compensated for enslaved people on the Canneries Estate. All right. Some maps have Connery, some has Canneries. Right. Okay. There's the Guy's Cliff Estate was broken up and sold in 1947. I believe that the Cliff family it came down from those who owned enslaved people. As I was talking about Briscoe, and I actually went trying to dig to find. So here's a list that I have. Wastel Briscoe. He owned Shadwell, he owned Grange, and he owned an estate at Salt Pond. So that name Briscoe appears a lot on the UCL site. There was a Thomas Lucas who owned Boyd's Estate and Fountain Estate. There's a John Boyd who owned Boyd's Estate and parts of Fountain as well. Thomas Lucas, let me see, owned Gardens and he owned Mons Estate. I don't know where Mons Estate is. At Earl Mons. Okay. Mons, yeah. So Thomas Lucas owned Mons Estate. John Boyd owned Boyd's Estate and Fontaine. John Willett owned Redgate and Bevan Island. I don't know where that is. Okay. So there are places that names have changed. Charles Marsham, Earl of Romney, of course, owned Romney's estate. Solomon Wade. That name Wade comes up, I believe that's in Nevis. There's a Nathaniel Wells who owned Foy's and Van Bells and Thurolls. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it properly. Charles Spooner, who owned Spooners at Keon and Spooners in Nicolatown. So it seems there were two Spooners estates. Okay. One and so on. Sir Gillies Payne, who owned Little Sir Gillies.
Just yesterday I was speaking about Sir Gillies because we were trying to map how many sugar plantations were in Sandy Point. And I tell my guests on the way through on the tours that the name of the villages were named either by the church, like the St. Paul, the St. Anne's, etc., or from the planters. So now you just gave me insight as to where Boyd's village would have gotten his name from.
Yeah. So
if one were to ask,
a lot of these, and I say that on the train as well, a lot of these villages are named after the owners.
Yeah, Newton Brothers, etc.
Yeah.
If one were to ask where they could glean this information, where would you direct them to?
Well, to the UCL site.
UCL site.
Yeah. So let me see. I always have it in my it never disappears from my list of sites that I visit because I'm always on it. So ucl.ac.uk.
ucl.ac.uk. For those who are listening, interesting is I got uncle. This corrective text here is ucl.ac.uk. I got uncle.
Yeah.
cl.ac.uk. Socrates will be checking it out.
And as you see, right now I am on a site here, St. Kitts, Golden Rock. You know, Golden Rock Estates was where
they made a declaration.
Right. So on the 26th of October, 1835, they were compensated for 170 enslaved people, £2,784, 8 shillings and 4 pence. These people, the claim was made by Henry Combe Compton and Sir William Pole Bart, and by the attorney Charles Adamson. So Sir William Templar Pole was 7th, but
in line 4.
Yeah. So he was the owner in fee. So that was Golden Rock Estate, and if I click on it, it will give me more information. Golden Rock, and they have all the owners, the owners going back. So this site, as I said, you can take you down a little rabbit hole there. You can spend quite a lot of time.
It's worth it.
Reading up and doing the research.
We have to pause for a station break. But when we return, I'm going to ask you to speak about the instructions given by the Prime Minister based on the thing with the Green. So we pay Caesar his due, and we will be right back.
Definitely.
What has you so happy?
My home internet just got upgraded, and I didn't even have to pay for it.
What? Which network you have?
Flow. Now I can get the fastest fiber internet in St. Kitts and Nevis for the lowest price.
Fastest internet for the lowest price? What's the catch?
No catch, my friend. 100 megabits per second for just $135 a month. With Flow, you truly get the best internet experience around.
Switch to Flow for the fastest fiber internet at the lowest price. Visit a Flow store today. Conditions apply.
Staying healthy has taken on a whole new meaning these days. So we ask, why do you put your health first?
As a business professional, I need to make the most out of my work days.
I'm a teacher, and I want to be there for my students.
In sports, I have to be in top form for my team.
Motherhood, I just got to keep up with my kids.
Because my patients rely on me to be at my best.
Staying healthy is important for many of us, and Halib Orange makes it easy. Just one 1,000 milligram tablet of vitamin C gives your immune system a flavorful boost, leaving you protected and feeling good for the day ahead. Halib Orange Vitamin C. Just pop the cap, drop it in water, let it fizz, and enjoy. Part of the Halib Orange family.
Hey, what's up, Sean?
What's up, Keisha, my girl?
I hear scrolling on my phone and I see Shop, Hunt and Win. What is both?
Well, Shop TDC got an Easter egg hunt where you could win prizes and giveaways.
Tell me more. How could I enter? How could I win?
So you go on shoptdcgroup.com and sign in, and Easter eggs will pop up.
Okay, so then what?
You crack open the egg and use the code to redeem the prizes and discounts at checkout.
Okay, I like this. So how much I could get up to?
Up to 30% off your purchases, plus free gifts and free shipping.
Up to 30%? This sound good, boy.
But wait, don't forget you can win weekly prizes too, not just the discounts.
But Sean, this is a lot of giveaways and prizes, boy. Well, excuse me there. Let me come off my phone because I'm going on shoptdcgroup.com to shop, hunt and win.
Hunt ends April 6.
Terms and conditions apply. Shop anywhere, shop anytime.
Good morning once again, and for those who are listening, you know that we have been in discussion with Lady Carl Astafan, the president of the St. Kitts Nevis
Chairperson.
Reparation big. Reparations Committee. She's actually updating us and educating us about many aspects of reparation. Those who were the list of the name published. By whom? Who did the publication?
Well, UCL.ac.uk has a database of all persons who were compensated.
Okay, and you were going down the list of the real things?
I was going down the list of just a small list of some of the names that we would recognize, some of the estates. So I had just said Sir Gilles Payne owning French ground and Sir Little Sir Gilles, that's what you call it.
Yeah.
Then there's David Dewar, who owned Edwards Estate. John St. Leger Douglas, who owned Douglas Estate and College Estate. I guess that's your College Street. Yeah. George Taylor, Taylor's Estate. Abednego Matthew, Buckley's Estate. Okay, Abednego Matthew, Buckley's Estate. Stapleton Cotton and Lord Combermere, Stapleton's Estate. So, and there's John Lavincourt, who owned Brooks, Boreal, Green Hill, Johnson's Estate, Olivies, Parry. His name was in Priddy's Mon, Prophet, Spooners, Keon, Nicolatown, Stone Castle, and Confips. So he had interest. There's a Sarah Willett Hooker, who owned something in Otley, St. Mary's, and Palmetto Point. David Evans, Conyers, and Pump. Sir William Milliken Napier, Milliken's Estate. General John Crosby, White's Estate. Thomas Molyneux, and Sir John, I think I just mentioned, Golden Rock Estate. And I think he sent me one yesterday, some, Halstead Thornton in Ironsdale, which was built by a Thomas Foxcroft, who was a slave trader and owned a number of ships that sailed to Sinkitt. So there's a lot. What we're trying to do now, we have the information, yes. We have a lot of information on your sales site, but where did the money lead to today? We have been able to find out about Green King, but what other institutions exist today whose genesis came from, or whose people had invested? As I read that article from The Guardian this morning, and they spoke about finding out that their investors, the early investors, owned enslaved people.
In The Guardian?
Yeah.
I was going to ask about that. I was going to ask about that particular
in America and in Jamaica. So they are making, Okay. So you wanted to know about the Prime Minister. So I met the Prime Minister.
Green, yes.
Yes, and he was very excited about that. And so he feels one of the best ways is to take it to
the people.
Okay. We've had thoughts about education, about investment, about, of course, we have no idea. I know one of the things Green King has asked is to look at what's happening so they can see what best fits, what sort of, they can do. We don't expect, just like in the case of the Trevelyan's, we don't expect that.
Cash handouts.
Yeah. We know that in the case of the Trevelyan's, they created a fund which is to help students of Grenada attend UE. So that's, so it's an education fund.
It's tangible.
Yeah. So what are we going to see from these? We don't know. So, yeah, that's basically.
Okay, before we open the lines, you said that what the Green person did was it in New York area? He created funds for institutional learning for, you said, blacks and Asians.
Okay, so Green King, when they came out with the apology in August of 2020, they made an apology because they had found out that Benjamin Green, the original owners, owned enslaved people on St. Kitts and Montserrat. So they made that apology and they said they would make donations to the black, Asian, and minority ethnic groups in England. So they are based in England. They have pubs throughout. As a matter of fact, they paid reparations recently when a group of Irish travelers came to their pub and were treated less than. There's an article there. I will have to find it out. And it went to court. So they had to pay. They had to pay for that treatment. I think they were refused.
They measured out to
right. So that is
Irish.
just that's very recent. So they have, and they're trying to see, like they're cleaning up the act as to do with racism.
I was trying to make, based on what you explained, I was trying to make the connection between St. Kitts, the plantations they own here. They thought of paying reparations, and the Asians that were part of the conversation.
The Asians.
Yeah. Yes, the Black and Asians.
Black and Asians, yes. Yeah. So remember in England they have these Asian. So this is it. There's the Black, Asian, and minority ethnic groups in England. But Asians only came as indentured servants here.
Correct.
So we are looking at, I think we have to look specifically at St. Kitts and Montserrat to some degree.
That's what I'm thinking.
So this is why I sent the email. Yes, you want to make those donations to the BAME, but what about the islands where this wealth came from?
Impacted.
So that's where we are at. That's what we are seeking. And if we can find out more about, for instance, I believe they said that Parsons Ground was owned by the Church of England, Parsons Estate. I think I read it somewhere. So the Church of England has came out and said they are creating a fund of £1 billion sterling. I think last year it was one figure they said. This year it came out. They've upped it.
Okay.
So I think there's a priest from Barbados, a reverend from Barbados, who is actually going to sit on that committee to talk about how they're going to handle that fund. Okay, so different. A long time ago, we were wondering whether there would be reparations. The fact is, the global
conversation has started.
It has started, and it is making moves, and people are digging into their background. It is, Laura Trevelyan said it is her cousin who was going through the site, and he just
accidentally, more or less,
maybe just decide, everybody on the internet, sometimes you have time to waste, and you just put in a name. I found out while reading a book written by Lennox Honeychurch in Dominica. I'm reading the book casually in my bed, and I came across a surname, which I know I carried. I think I've said that before. My mother's surname. I said, wow. So now, since this site came up, because in Lennox's book, he's saying that this man owned enslaved people, and he was a colored planter. Okay? His name was, if I remember correctly, Jean-Baptiste Birmingham. So since the UCL site came up, I put Dominica, I put in Birmingham, let me see what comes up. So by the time of abolition, his descendant was, I believe, Joseph Birmingham, owned 10 enslaved people, so he was compensated for it. So you can decide to see, maybe, let me see what surname I carry. What's your real surname?
Hodge or Hodge. Morgan.
Right. So you can.
Morgan is.
You can. I know, of course. So we were given the names of enslaved owners of enslaved people. So you can put in and see, where it came from. I was speaking to Cecil Green recently. He and I, we've known each other since I first came to St. Kitts. We go to the same church. I said, Cecil, in your family, this is the thing. The Greens. I know two Charles Greens. You understand? Somebody Green wrote to me the other day. I mean, there's Cecil, there's what's his name, and the others, and his brother, so so in reading articles, I actually told Cecil I came across where someone in that family came to St. Kitts in the 1970s, and he's a journalist, a top journalist, and he said he met a lot of colored Greens.
There's a plain word.
Colored greens, okay. Right? So the fact is they left their Benjamin Green's family exist in St. Kitts.
Okay. Here's what. Very interesting conversation, and you would have had an indication from the Prime Minister that he would like to get a feedback from the public, etc. We've had a lot of pushback on this very topic. So for the folks who have been listening, we're gonna open up the lines now and get your perspective. I hope you were listening from the start of the program because we have the first caller. Okay, good day. Okay. Good day, caller. Thanks for your resilience. You're live on Voices.
Greetings, King John.
Yes, blessed love.
Sending greetings to your guest.
Thank you, Eli.
Most welcome. Okay, you know, as a race, not as a country, not as a federation of citizen units, not as a committee, whether here or there, but as a race. We are putting with a whole heap of things, and reparation is one of them. You know, we have been observing over the years, and it moves us come to this conclusion. We are truly putting with our reparation. What we've been through is not a Nancy story. It's not something we are making up. It's not a myth. The trauma is still with us. We are seeing it daily, wherever we are scattered. And we just don't understand why we keep putting with our reparation as a race of people. Yeah, we are truly doing that. And my word, I'm not saying as a federation of citizens, not even as a region. So I concern all of us, the entire race. Yeah? And we should be much further than this. Much further than this. Truly. Anyhow, I'm the first on the line, so I don't want to take up no more time. Best wishes. Thanks for the information.
Thank you for calling. Much
Thank you.
appreciated. Let's see if we have any other. Yes, you want to respond to that?
Yeah, just to piggyback off of what Eli is saying. Yes, it is a serious issue. Because when we think about what our ancestors went through, it's, sometimes we don't even want to really sit and think about it. So,
good day, caller. You're live on Voices.
Yeah, King Socrates.
Good day, sir. How are you?
I'm Carlo. I would like to know, Carlo, from you as the chief, if when you leave the federation to go and poor people business, because we all of us business, if the government, I think it's Nevis, and both sides are divided, will contribute to your airfare, calling discussion and showing that they're interested in what we are trying to achieve. We want you to explain that to us, and we will have to hold the perpetrators them for these things, because it should happen, because in the event going on the road, we have to get lucky, and we get money. That is who going to push up the ugly head to tax it and want some. Have a good day. This is Jamdown speaking here, Socrates.
Okay, so Jamdown, of course, this committee that I sit on was formulated under the previous administration of Dr. Harris. It falls under the office of the Prime Minister. Under Dr. Drew's administration, our work continues. I'm thankful that I'm still continuing this work with this administration. And this administration has been very supportive. Last year, I was invited as part of the CARICOM Reparations Committee, was having a symposium on reparations in Jamaica, and the government CARICOM paid for the hotel, but the government funded the airfare.
Not to rush you. That answers James's question. We have calls coming in fast and furious. So let's go through this caller. Okay, one there. Good day, caller. You're live on Voices.
Good morning, the King.
Good morning, sir. How about now?
I'm giving thanks for life, and good morning to your esteemed guest, Carla.
Good morning.
You did mention about the Prime Minister, and I'm kind of baffled right now. But I'm gonna make my comment, and then I'll get offline and listen. Because, like going to a republic, we think it's a neighbor going into a republic. If we were to put a vote, take it to the people, because the people are listening. This issue, this subject, it has a long time. It's been a long time we've been talking about this. And you would suppose by now the people are so sensitive about it that if we take it to the people, how take it to the people? If we take it to the people as a vote, with the trauma that each truth they spoke about and all of that, with the blindness of our people, with the importance of this matter, it's only a few woke people who are taking this thing. If
Yeah, well, so you are the people. You are the
vote on it.
You are the voices. We are not going to do a vote. It's just getting ideas. At the end of the day, people's voice, your voice is he gave his ideas. I did not say what his ideas were. But I'm saying we want to hear as many voices as possible.
Section of
so that's what it is. It's not about voting, because I don't want to go in there. Let us say you said, okay, you give an example of what you think reparative justice should look like. But I go in there and say that, but they may have had something else in mind. You understand? You may want them to lay what they have on the table first and see what it is, whether it falls in line with what you're looking for, because what what they may be given may be more than what you're asking for if you decide to lay yours on the table first. Okay. That's how I look at it.
We take this caller. Good day, caller. You live on Voices.
Yeah, good day, man. How you doing, man?
Splendid. Good to hear your voice. Have you been listening for the start of the program?
Yeah, good day to you and your guests, man. This is a great topic that you're on today.
Beautiful.
Yeah, man. The guy jumped down. He was asking about the travel expenses, and also when this lady go away, right? I mean, does she get like security when she goes to travel? We sometimes ignore that, But anyway, man. Since this Haiti thing came up, I've been having some personal ideas about Haiti, as I get my knowledge up on that. When Aristide was removed from Haiti was because I've understood that, he was trying to lead the chart to go after reparations. And, the slave, Haiti went independence. They didn't enjoy their independence at all. They was forced to pay France all these monies for their freedom. Some serious money, man. We have no idea how much money these slave owners and slave masters, got over all the years.
We do.
Caller, not only that, I mean, when you talk about Haiti's, journey, recently, last year, I participated online in a course called Caribbean Revolutions, and stumbled upon where America had invaded Haiti and occupied Haiti, and how they were able to maneuver to flip the laws of Haiti, especially as it regards to the owning of property. Yes, so that when you read about those things, it's
yeah. I saw that somewhere along the way. I think that was Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Delano Roosevelt. I think he was president at that time. They were able to take out the clause in the Haiti Constitution.
Yeah.
Which had blocked the white owners from coming back.
Asians were allowed to own land.
Yeah. So you see, and you saw the devastation. I mean, when I read about it, it's you see, we think about Haiti as just today. We think a lot of times we talk only about France, but all of these other countries were a part of it.
Embargoes.
They were part of what happened. They sat back. It was about
even the loan
just destroying.
The loan was negotiated through the World Bank
who had the audacity to,
Fight for the freedom.
To
Demand
fight
their
for their
dignity.
freedom and get their freedom, you know?
So let me ask you a question real quick. Inside the Federation of St. Kitts, right? Why aren't there like a legal, like the Attorney General, who's the top man for the state? Why aren't these guys helping or going after these reparations on a legally? Why aren't there like a legal push?
That is being done, will be done at the CARICOM level. Remember, the different governments signed on to CARICOM, and they created the CARICOM Reparations Commission, of which St. Kitts National Reparations Committee is a part. So tomorrow I'm attending a meeting. Most of the meetings are held almost all the meetings are held online. So tomorrow morning I'm attending a meeting online with the CARICOM Reparations Committee. We have stuff to discuss. I was telling one of the things, just recently CARICOM met. There was the 46th meeting of the heads of government in Guyana. So reparations was on the agenda, and I will share a bit about what CARICOM said as per reparations.
And before we get off, right? I've realized that Haiti, being that they got the masses of people there and everything, and they went independence first, black nation on this side, CARICOM really need to consider bringing Haiti into the fold when it comes to these type of topics and these type of movements, because from the outsiders, the Americans and the French and the colonial masters, what they seems like they were afraid of Haiti to go after this reparation and make that push. So I believe CARICOM need to bring Haiti in the fold more and get them to lead the way. You know what I mean? Because Haiti definitely will be that powerhouse that they need. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Seeing that they're afraid of Haiti, bring Haiti in the fold and have them help us push for this reparation. You know what I mean? And then we're talking about this, and we're talking about the free movement thing, and we cannot include Haiti in this at all. And Haiti is a part of CARICOM.
Yes.
You know what I mean? We're not really looking out for our brothers and sisters in Haiti.
As a matter of fact, I think I came across an article earlier today where the chair of the CARICOM Reparations Committee has spoken out about Haiti. So I'll try and find it and share some of it with you. But for now, we have to take a little break.
I'll try to come back in, man. I'll let somebody else get in.
Okay, Jamsa, we're going to take a commercial break. Thank you.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Shop, hunt, and win this Easter with Shop TDC. Hop over to shoptdcgroup.com, register, and start hunting. Search the website for hidden eggs and crack them open to discover amazing deals, exciting giveaways, and more. But wait, customers who spend $250 or more are automatically entered for a chance to win weekly prizes. Don't miss out on the excitement. Visit shoptdcgroup.com today to start hunting. Promotion ends April 6th, 2024. Terms and conditions apply. Shop anywhere. Shop anytime.
What has you so happy?
My home internet just got upgraded, and I didn't even have to pay for it.
What? Which network you have?
Flow. Now I can get the fastest fiber internet in St. Kitts and Nevis for the lowest price.
Fastest internet for the lowest price? What's the catch?
No catch, my friend. 100 megabits per second for just $135 a month. With Flow, you truly get the best internet experience around.
Switch to Flow for the fastest fiber internet at the lowest price. Visit a Flow store today. Conditions apply.
Welcome back to Voices. King Socrates has gone to get me some water, so he'll be back shortly. Let's take that call. Mm-hmm. Sure.
Good morning, Carla.
Good morning, Miss Henry. How are you today?
And I just love history and the way you make it sound, you know. I must commend you for your commitment, you know, to the task.
Thank you.
Is it possible for us to hear the speech made by the Chancellor of the UWI at the UN? I think it was yesterday or the day before.
I have the written. I have it in writing. I could look. Yeah.
Because he delivered the speech.
Yeah, but you know it's long, eh? So I'm not sure if it can be. But if we find it, then maybe Jamska could play it at some point.
Because sometimes they have a long empty spaces between the shows.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was wondering if it was possible to hear it online also.
Yes, and I do have it. I'll try and find it and pass it to Jamster.
You know, let's get to Nevis.
Mm-hmm.
Did you do any research on Nevis? Because Nevis had slaves too, you know?
Yes, of course. See, Nevis, the information is there.
I'm not hearing you mention them.
That's true, and forgive me for that. I have done research on Nevis. I remember looking at a family called Atherton, who I stumbled
Pennies
upon. Pennies, yes. I've read on that as well. Nevis.
Because I want to know where the Fremans come from. Freeman and Payne, who used to own Bath Village, Rollins Village, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it would be a good thing, maybe if you could get, maybe a student also.
Yes,
when you have these names too, maybe just go to the telephone directory and track name that you could call descender, whatever, from these people.
Yeah.
I read on the thing, and we are Jamaican, well, an Englishman heard of this name in Jamaica, and he was surprised.
Okay, so...
And when he went down, he discovered that they were relatives, descendants. You know, they're black. But, you know, everybody used to mix up.
So while St. Kitts had 761 claims paid out, Miss Henry, Nevis had 304 claims that were paid out.
And that is significant.
And some of the names that I see here, Nevis Long Point Estate, again, William Thomas and Nicholson comes up. There's Butler, there's Dent. For Grove Estate, there's a Butler, there's a Dent, a Dixon, Frome, Halford, Lackington, Reed. So again, there's a Hicks Estate was awarded to Richard Lycott Hicks. Windward, there's Old Windward Estate, which was owned by James Daniel. There was a Mills. So all of the information, as I said, I've given the website, and all I did just while I'm talking to you, I went on the site, right? And in the search the database, I put in Nevis. I don't even, and it came up. Okay, so it is there. I'm looking at the first 50.
Is it possible for you, do you all about a national website? Or maybe you could put the link on the website so it will be easier for people
I think
to
I have put it on the I created a Facebook page, so that is on the Facebook page.
What's the name of it? The Facebook
St.
page.
Kitts National Reparations, St. Kitts Nevis National Reparations.
For people listening, so tell them again.
St. Kitts Nevis National Reparations
my mother,
Committee
my father
page.
from Nevis.
Mm-hmm.
My father, Montserrat.
Mm-hmm.
I heard you linking Montserrat to St. Kitts.
Well, it was only as to do with that particular owner. The Green. Okay, Green owned. He was compensated for enslaved people on St. Kitts. The majority on St. Kitts, 230-something, and 6 persons on Montserrat. So I don't know what he had on Montserrat, but only 6 enslaved people.
What about Kit Stoddart? With the factories?
Yeah, Kit Stoddart. I think I came across it somewhere. I can't remember.
Yeah, because the people who live in Russell Village, when they were going to build the sugar factory, they moved them to Russell Village.
So I see.
Some people want to know, because uncle, but it becomes complicated when the people began to move around.
Yeah, so what it is, of course, we do know that a lot of our names came from the owners. We don't have our African names. So that's our names, our culture, everything was taken from us, from our ancestors during slavery. And so that comes down to today. So even
I read in this book, I think it's called Churches in the Caribbean or something like that. After emancipation, a lot of the slaves changed their name, you know. I read it there.
Maybe.
They actually renamed, to disassociate from their masters, they renamed themselves.
Okay.
They did not give them African names, of course.
So this is why one of my suggestions, as we seek, reparatory justice, I think as part of our reparatory justice, it should be that we, with DNA possible, being able to track your lineage. It's possible through DNA. I think that would be something that we should get reparations for, so that we can find our people and where we came from. Okay, so some people have been, yes, but you have to pay for it. So why not, make it part of the reparatory justice package? That's one of the things.
Why not put that idea to the CARICOM?
I have said it, actually. I have said it. I said it in a meeting we had with PJ Patterson some months ago.
I'm going to leave now.
Okay.
Landlord Matthew, the one who took over Buckley's estate. What is it to Abednego?
Abednego Matthew was the one who was compensated at abolition, so he most probably is his descendant.
Because all the way in 1935, they owned Buckley's estate. All right, but
so where are they today? Who's
before
the?
You go and ask people what they think. They must first have an idea what you're talking about.
So that's what we are doing. We're talking about these things. So people, we go around, we hear estate names, we hear names in our society. What does it mean to us? If we do the research, then the owners who were in England, where are their descendants today? And as a matter of fact, because of this site, because so much has come out, a committee has been formed in England where descendants of owners of enslaved people are coming together so that they can actually start to do something. What Laura Trevelyan did has been very, very significant, and so others are following in her wake. And so if we ourselves we are doing the research, or if wherever we can find out, this family is linked to this estate, their descendants are this people,
do you have enough
and so on.
Here to help out the committee?
Do I have enough volunteers?
Retired people also too.
Yeah, so that is... Okay, so thank you. We're heading close to the news. Yes. So thank you, Ms. Henry. It's a lot of work that has to be done. King Socrates, before I leave, you want me to come back now?
If you can. We could actually tell how it was this morning, because we were on, then we were off, then we were on again. So we're very lucky to be able to come in and share this information.
I've had to...
change and juggle your schedule because
I think I should be able. I've just got to make a quick run and come back. So because it's very difficult to get. Don't say anything. Just continue. Yes. So it's very difficult to get everything in an hour, and this was why I wanted to come and talk to you, because I know Voices has a lot of time.
And the callers, just about when they're getting really engaged, we have to run.
Yeah. So this little break there for the news, it helps gather some more thoughts and so on. But something that came to mind, we are hoping, just recently in St. Lucia, the National Reparations Committee in St. Lucia had a presenter who used to live here on St. Kitts. She's actually from St. Lucia, Dr. June Suma. She's a historian, and she's the chair of the at the Permanent Forum for the People of African Descent, the United Nations Permanent Forum for the People of African Descent. There's a meeting coming up in Switzerland, which all the chairs are invited to. We'll see whether we can attend, at least a representative from here, myself, attend. And of course, that brings me back to Jam Dong's point. The government does approve and support and finance any trip. So last year I went to Jamaica. I also went to a convention in Kenya, in Mombasa, Kenya. Those two. I can't go to everything because, of course, you all know that I have children. I'm self-employed, and so I can't be running away all the time to go to attend things. But I do try to attend online. Once there's an online ability to attend online, I would then attend online. Okay? We are hoping to bring Dr. June Suma here. We are preparing a budget to submit so that around African Liberation Day we can have her. She spoke on the Brattle Report. What is the Brattle Report? The Brattle Group is they came up with I guess you can Google it, the Brattle Group, and they came up with a figure, and they said as to what reparations.
Brattle, how is it spelled?
Brattle.
Okay.
I think I have it at hand myself. So the Brattle Group made a report. They were asked by CARICOM to make a report on equating what was paid, how we could be compensated for slavery, the compensation for slavery. But their report left out quite a lot of things, and so she was able to dissect that. I was very impressed. She did it specifically as to do with women, because, of course, they looked at the general, but what did they leave out as it pertains to women? Women in, and what their contribution was, what they suffered, and all of those things.
And actually how much were overlooked.
Yeah, and how much was overlooked as the Brattle Group came to a figure. It's because they specified, and even whether we look at men or women, there's a lot that reparations can never repay. Okay, so we are hoping, I've asked her and she's willing to come, so we putting together a budget to submit to the government, to the Prime Minister's office, so that we could host her and she can deliver a presentation. We have to decide where we're going to have it and all of this. Yes, because
one of the things
it would be great for people to attend.
A lot of folks do not pay attention to these discussions. Sadly, though.
I know.
But I know you're doing your best.
You get small numbers.
Yeah.
I recently spoke to Rotarians. They asked me to speak to them. We had a Zoom. I can't remember if it was one of those online platforms, whether Zoom or Microsoft Teams, and they were very interested. They wanted to, they want to see where they too can help. So talking about volunteers, we do have people out there who are interested, and it is for us to build that. I believe there are more people than we think, but, it's just about reaching them, saying the right thing and reaching them. So we'll see what happens. Mm-hmm.
And to think that we almost didn't get this this morning.
Yeah, so it's something, there's a lot to look at. It's a lot. There's a lot to look at. St. Kitts, when I think I sent it to Dr. Vereen Shepherd, has a book, Reparations for Secondary Schools. And
interesting.
Yeah. So it's available on Amazon. I read that book last year. As a matter of fact, it is while reading her book, I was triggered again about the Green King, because she brings it up in her book. And in her book, there's no mention of St. Kitts and Montserrat. Okay? So I wrote to her. So everybody, so she actually met with us as well, with the Green King people. So it's like we have to keep pushing, because let me tell you something. One of the things Dr. Suma said to me, because she was pushing for me to come to Switzerland to be able to, she said, we need to be there. She said the bigger islands, the Jamaica, the Barbados, and Guyana, they make their representatives, they make their calls for what, so we need to be there. We need to get in there, the smaller islands. And a lot of times I feel we hear a lot about Barbados, we hear a lot about Jamaica, we hear, Guyana.
But they made their presence felt.
Yeah, so we are hearing what they're doing, their research. They're trying to find out what are we doing in these islands. And I actually suggested to some of the folks in the OECS, why don't we have a separate meeting of those of us in the OECS, so that we can, work together to get stuff done. So we'll see. It's not about being divisive or anything like that. It's just that the bigger islands have a lot more resources, yes, and they're out there speaking,
and manpower,
right? They're out there speaking, and so speaking out, and so their voices are being heard. We hear, but our own prime minister does.
When they do that, do they represent the region, just themselves, or the collective?
I guess because you're hearing them, maybe. For instance, why didn't we hear about, let me throw it out there. Why didn't we hear about Green King in 2020 as St. Kitts? Except for that.
Directly related to St. Kitts.
Yeah, because it was directly related to St. Kitts. These people came out, it was, when I find newspapers, there were newspapers reporting this in England. No one sent me this link. I did not know
Knowing
anything.
that you represent
that's what I'm saying. Didn't we have people in England who were reading the newspapers and seeing these things being published and seeing St. Kitts? Nobody sent it to us. I knew nothing about this. And an email came to tourism. I spoke to Danielle Taylor, who I could see where the email came from when she sent it to Miss Warner and finally sent to me. So I said, Danielle, did it get lost in junk? She said, no, when they got it, they sent it to
Miss Warner.
I think they sent it to the Heritage Society, or they didn't hear it.
You are the chair. It's known. There's no secret.
So the Heritage Society, I don't know that they did anything with it. So it was only 3 years later I got it in 2023. All right. So from August 2020, because she actually sent Orissa Lumbar, she sent that message at the time she was doing a podcast, which has since been published. And what she wanted was to add our voice to the podcast. When I researched it, I found a podcast, I listened to it. And so she could not make any statement about St. Kitts and what St. Kitts was looking for, because she had no one contact her from St. Kitts. So, 3 years later, I just
happened to
start.
Miss Warner?
Yeah, I started the ball rolling.
Let's see if we can entertain this call while we wait the
word of the news.
Yeah.
Okay, so
we're too slow.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so while we are here, while we are still waiting, why don't we look at what CARICOM is saying? And I have it right here. So at the recent meeting, the 46th meeting of the heads of government, CARICOM discussed, the heads of government discussed quite a lot of things, including reparations. The meeting heard from Sir Hilary Beckles, chairman of the CARICOM Reparations Commission. They heard from Prime Minister Motley, chair of the Prime Ministerial Subcommittee on Reparations, on the successful advocacy of the CARICOM Reparations Commission over the past decade in bringing about global attention to the region's call for reparatory justice. They endorsed the regional strategic framework as recommended by the PMSE and approved the regional work plan and budget for 2024 to 2026. The conference proposes to place more emphasis on direct engagement, advocacy, and negotiations, including strengthening partnership with the African Union. They agreed to broaden the context for reparatory justice to include native genocide, chattel enslavement, indentureship, and colonialism, and recognize the peculiar circumstances of overseas territories in the region in relation to reparatory justice. They requested the PMSC on reparations to advise on modalities for their involvement in CARICOM's reparations agenda. They also agreed to seek to have reparations included on the agendas of the SEEDS conference in Antigua and Barbuda, which is going to be held in May 2024, and the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting conference in October 2024. So
just to update.
Yes, I will tell you that there is some discussion as to indentureship being included. Of course, indentured servants did go through hell as well. And yes?
Is there a but there someplace?
Yes, there's a but.
Okay.
So the indentureship, as you know, would have occurred before, during, and after slavery. In the first part of indentureship, you had people...
It is not slavery.
You had people being brought from England, from Ireland, from Scotland, from France. Poor people, people who were prisoners of war, as I like to tell them on the train, people who were seeking a better life. You had, prisoners of war and prisoners.
Who were working off their indentureship. They were working it off.
Right. So they came before and during slavery. And after the abolition of slavery, as many people left the plantations, the enslaved people no longer wanted to work for and even though they were getting a pittance, they did not want to continue to work. A second wave of indentureship would start up again. This time they brought the Portuguese, they brought Indians, they brought Chinese, okay, and so on. So, and even Africans who had, they say, they had freed during the illegal slave trade that was happening. So, Indians and Chinese, a lot in Trinidad, Jamaica, Guyana, and so on, Barbados. So we got about 131 Indians, I don't know if you know that, were brought to St. Kitts, okay? But the difference between indentureship and slavery, although they all lived together and worked...
Similar conditions.
They were paid after their tenure of indentureship. There was a tenure, but they like to put in there if they survived, because remember the conditions was very bad, so a lot died. So there are some people who are not in agreement with indentureship, but we can't. It's hard to separate. Yes, they were paid. I mean, I talk about the man who owned Canada Estate. He came. He worked on Stapleton Estate, he worked on Milking Estate, he made enough money and began buying land, and so he bought all of what is Canada Estate. He ended up owning, they say he kept grabbing land, actually, probably bought a little piece and then he kept, so it ended up being a big estate. But what I'm saying is that indentured servants got paid. Africans worked for a lifetime.
And so we're saying that they should be in line now, a consideration for
so now
reparations?
You see they are also being considered for they fall under, because yes, the descendants of indentured servants have been making a call as well. Okay, so it cannot be ignored. And there's a lot of debate on that. I myself issued my own thoughts on it and said I'm not in agreement with it.
Okay.
But
it appears we got the 2 thumbs up, and we are ready for the WINNFM's midday newscast presentation. So even with extension, it's been so enthralling. I'm so happy that you were able to make it, and I hope you can just run and come back again. But we do have to pause at this point in time for the Win FM's midday news presentation, and we'll be right back soon as possible after.
You found the sound. 98.9. Win FM.
We now bring you the headline news. The headline news is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, The Grange, and Carib Brewery.
When it comes to the important things in life, your health, your education, your choice of a life partner, and of course your insurance provider, only the best will do. Caribbean Alliance Insurance is the only insurance company in the Eastern Caribbean with an A excellent rating. We have a robust 3-tier reinsurance strategy that protects our policyholders from multiple catastrophes, even if they occur in quick succession. We spread our risks over 18 territories, ensuring minimal impact to individual territories when a disaster strikes. We provide an excellent claims experience. Claim settlement is usually between 24 to 48 hours. Our A excellent rating means that you are more secure with us. Contact us for motor, property, marine, public liability, employer's liability, and other policies. Dalil Walwyn, people you can trust. Local agent for Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Tomorrow secured. Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
With the Win FM Midday News, I am Kevon Brown.
And I am Yulana Weeks.
Our top stories.
St. Kitts and Nevis CBI Unit Bill 2024 aims to ensure pragmatism and sustainability of CBI program. Diana Claxton Whitaker has been appointed as the third member of the Nevis Integrity in Public Life Commission.
Haiti's presidential committee meets. 17 people homeless in Grenada. Internationally, Baltimore Bridge collapse. 6 people presumed dead. Now the details.
The Citizenship by Investment Unit Bill 2024 was brought before Parliament for its first reading on March 26. The Prime Minister and Minister of National Security, Immigration and Citizenship, Dr. Terence True, is optimistic that with a safe passage through the House of Parliament, the citizenship by investment operations will improve. Some of the new measures are based on recommendations presented in a joint report by the Financial Action Task Force, FATF, and the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD. Dr. Drew referred to the recommendations during his presentation.
CBI jurisdictions should consider designating a specific specialist government agency, state, corporation, or specialist operational unit that holds the end-to-end responsibility of the safe day-to-day operation of an investment migration program and which is subject to effective oversight. This is a natural professionalization evolution of a 40-year-old program, Madam Speaker. There is a need for the CIU to have independent professional management, operations, and high-performing staff. There's a need for the CIU to become a body corporate with an even more robust board of governors who report to the minister with responsibility for citizenship.
Meanwhile, the bill provides for the Citizenship by Investment Unit to collect money and manage its affairs through the relevant administrative fees. However, the greater portion of the CBI revenue will continue to be paid into the Consolidated Fund for Management by the Federal Ministry of Finance. The CBI program has faced several challenges from the international community, particularly from the European Union, which has called for the implementation of stricter measures to ensure greater transparency and accountability. The Prime Minister advised that the administration is in the final stages of setting up the continuing International Due Diligence Unit within the Ministry of National Security. The due diligence unit, to be headquartered in Europe, is expected to carry out robust monitoring of St. Kitts and Nevis passport holders. The responsibilities of the International Due Diligence Unit are to ensure that citizens holding passports issued by St. Kitts and Nevis and residing and working internationally abide by the laws of the country in which they reside and visit, and also abide by international laws. 2. To alert the Ministry of National Security of St. Kitts Nevis citizens who are being investigated for committing or have been arrested and charged with financial or other crimes internationally. 3. To liaise with and report to international law enforcement, anti-money laundering and anti-terrorist financing agencies when St. Kitts and Nevis citizens are being investigated or when they have committed or have been arrested and are charged with financial or other crimes internationally. 4. To retrieve passports issued by St. Kitts and Nevis which have been cancelled by the Minister as per the Sworn to Passport and Travel Documents Act. 5. To create policies to mitigate and address any risks associated with the St. Kitts and Nevis citizens who obtain citizenship through the St. Kitts and Nevis Citizenship by Investment Program.
This is fundamentally important. This is a next generation type of policy that we are introducing. St. Kitts and Nevis is introducing. So this due diligence unit within the Ministry of National Security will make sure to act as a vigilant and proactive entity, employing intelligence gathering, analysis, and collaboration to mitigate risks associated with the continued operation of our CBI program, Madam Speaker.
The bill's first reading came less than a week after 4 OECS territories, including St. Kitts and Nevis, signed a memorandum of agreement to cooperate and share information relating to CBI. For more than a year after the December 12, 2022 Nevis Island Assembly elections, a third member has been appointed to the Integrity in Public Life Commission, Nevis. The new appointee is Attorney-at-Law Diana Claxton Whitaker. She was chosen under the rules of the Integrity in Public Life Amendment Ordinance 2023. The amended legislation says, quote, if there is no leader of the opposition, then the Deputy Governor General may appoint a member upon the advice of the member or members of the opposition. Provided where there is no member of the opposition or the members of the opposition cannot agree on the nominee, then a member will be appointed on the advice of the Premier after consultation with the members of the opposition, if any. According to the Premier of Nevis, Mark Brantley, at the March 26, 2024 sitting of the Nevis Island Assembly, he made communication with the members of the opposition on a decision, and there had not been any consensus.
I am to report to the House and to the island today that I engaged with members opposite by way of letter, and it became apparent that there was no consensus among the members opposite as to a nominee for that position of the third member of the Integrity Commission. We have my nominee that I have proffered, and at least one member opposite has indicated no objection to that nominee. And I want to just emphasize, that the onus under the legislation is for me to consult, not to have consensus or agreement. But one member opposite did indicate that she had no opposition. I have not had the benefit of a response from the other member opposite, but I have gone ahead and indicated to the Deputy Governor General that the third member of that commission will be Attorney at Law, Mrs. Diana Claxton Whitaker.
Initially, the Integrity in Public Life Ordinance provided that the first person be appointed by the Deputy Governor General, acting upon advice from the Premier, a second person to be appointed by the Premier, and the third person of the Commission to be appointed by the Leader of the Opposition. However, there is no Leader of the Opposition in the Nevis Island Assembly. The amendment to the Integrity in Public Life Ordinance was passed in the House on November 21, 2023. However, a fraction of Nevisian society believed that the amendment was a means to corrupt the Integrity Commission. Particularly, Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge, leader of the Nevis Reformation Party, during the November 21, 2023 debate, argued that to create a scenario that the Commission had not been functioning because of the Nevis Reformation Party was absurd, because there had not been a leader of the opposition for several years before the December 12, 2022 Nevis Island Assembly elections. Daniel Hodge has been resolute in her stance that the ordinance had not been properly constituted, which led to the problems.
In regional news, Haiti's presidential committee meets. 17 people homeless in Grenada and more from Carib Update.
Fresh turmoil involving a transitional presidential council that will be responsible for choosing Haiti's new leader have triggered a flurry of meetings with Caribbean leaders and officials from the U.S., Canada, and France. The council has yet to be sworn in, given concerns over the security of its members, among other things, a regional official said. The official is based in Guyana, which serves as headquarters for the regional trade bloc known as CARICOM, that is helping create the transitional council. The delay in establishing the council comes as gangs continue to launch attacks across Haiti's capital. Since February 29, gunmen have burned police stations, opened fire on the main international airport that remains closed, and stormed the country's two biggest prisons, releasing more than 4,000 inmates. Suriname's main opposition National Democratic Party says first Vice Chairman Ramon Abrahams will take over the functions of its leader, Desi Bouterse, the former president. Bouterse was sentenced to 20 years in prison in December last year, but his whereabouts are not known. The NDP, which held a general membership meeting last weekend, said that Abrahams will stay in the position until Bouterse is available. It added that the current executive's term of office has been extended until July 2026. Former United States President Bill Clinton on Tuesday urged closer collaboration among the countries in the Americas as he participated in a forum that focused on strengthening partnership and investment opportunities within the region. Addressing the United Caribbean Forum, UCF, organized by the Dominican Republic Chamber of Commerce in Guyana, Clinton said the Americas need to work more closely together. Clinton said he hopes that this new partnership involving governments, businesses, and non-government organizations between the Dominican Republic and Guyana is the tip of the iceberg that will give new life to CARICOM, Caribbean Community. In more news, 17 people are homeless in Grenada following a fire Tuesday in the northern rural village of Chantemel. 5 homes were destroyed in the late morning blaze. Investigations are continuing into the cause of the fire. Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell spoke on the incident earlier Tuesday in the country's parliament.
The Ministry of Social and Community Development are mobilizing the Royal Grenada Police Force, the fire service, and all of the utilities and so on the scene. But it's something that's already a little disturbing coming out of the report, Mr. Speaker, and it's something I have noticed. And I'm saying this, and I want to put a caveat, I don't know what the cause of the fire was, so I can't speak to the cause of the fire. But there is certainly a pattern that I've seen, including in my constituency, where many times the fires are started by children.
Curtis John was one of the people who lost their home.
I was on walk when my first son called me and told me about the fire. So I told the supervisor, look at what the situation, and tell me to wait. That's family matter. Come up one time and do my business. When I reached 5 houses was burned right down to the ground.
There appears to be widespread bipartisan support in Grenada for a bill to declare a 90-day gun amnesty there. The bill was brought to the island's parliament Tuesday, piloted by Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell, who is also the Minister of National Security.
So the intent, Mr. Speaker, is to permit the minister to in fact make an order to establish an amnesty period within which persons, or during which time, persons would be encouraged, incentivized to deliver to the police or to the police stations firearms and ammunition which are in their unlawful possession. And if someone were to take advantage of the amnesty by delivering the firearm or the ammunition, which is not a licensed or legal firearm, then that person will be granted an indemnity from prosecution during that period.
The members of the opposition supported the proposal, which will now have to be taken to the country's Senate for approval.
We now bring you these international reports.
In the U.S. city of Baltimore, where 6 people are still missing after a container ship brought down a key bridge are now presumed dead. The Coast Guard said it had suspended its search and rescue operation and now will focus on a recovery mission. Poor visibility and debris from the bridge in the water are making the recovery efforts extremely challenging. The ship is registered in Singapore, and the Port Authority there says it passed 2 inspections last year. The container vessel lost power after departing from Baltimore's port, causing it to crash into the bridge. Our correspondent Will Vernon has more.
The search for the missing. Emergency services worked all day to locate the 6 construction workers who had been on the bridge when it collapsed. But the rescue operation was unsuccessful.
Based on the length of time that we've gone in this search, the extensive search efforts that we've put into it, the water temperature, that at this point we do not believe that we're going to find any of these individuals still alive.
The search area was huge, and efforts were hampered by cold weather and wreckage in the water.
The search and rescue mission that was going on just behind me has been suspended. Next, the recovery operation will begin. Now, the focus will turn to the crucial work of the investigators to establish exactly how this tragic accident could have happened.
Investigators here say they now need to get aboard the stricken ship. They want to analyse the recording device, like a black box found on aircraft. Shortly before the collision, the ship had suffered a power issue.
Port all traffic on the Key Bridge. There's a ship approaching, has just lost their steering.
In this recording, police can be heard desperately trying to clear the bridge.
C-13 dispatch, the whole bridge just fell down. Start, whoever, everybody. The whole bridge just collapsed.
The collapse of a local landmark has shaken this city.
It's a great shock. I mean, it didn't look real. We saw it on video. Some of us thought it was staged because how could this happen? This is iconic to our community. So it's a real shock.
This is my song. Oh, I'm praising myself.
Shock and sadness in a Baltimore church last night. Families and friends gathered to pray for the lost.
Well, Dr. Marina Bock is a lecturer in structural engineering at Aston University here in the UK. I asked her if anything could have been done to prevent this tragedy from happening.
I mean, yeah, it's been very shocking what has happened. Normally, bridges are designed, in fact, to take into account accidental actions like cars and trucks hitting cables, and even they are designed to take into account vandalism. But what happened here is that we found a vessel, a main vessel, very large vessel hitting one of the main supports of the bridge, which triggered the progressive collapse. There is possibility to protect the piers of the bridge, but again, because of the scale of the boat, of the large vessel, it would have been very difficult to protect. Also, we need to bear in mind that this bridge was built in the 1970s to a design standard that possibly was taking into account small boats even hitting the piers, and it has been a very difficult accident to predict and imagine. And in the 1970s, in fact, to consider in the design stages a very large vessel of that scale hitting a main pier.
The government at the moment is pledging to rebuild the bridge. What do you think they would have to take into account as they begin this process, and how long could it take?
To rebuild the bridge, well, I would expect that now the investigation that is ongoing will look at why the vessel hit one of the main piers. I would also expect the engineers to look at the degradation of the bridge. Normally, bridges like the bridge in Baltimore, they tend to suffer from corrosion due to exposure to air and water, and also fatigue due to the continuous loads of trucks and cars. So it's going to take a long time because it's a very, very heavy structure to remove and rebuild.
And Dr. Bock, I guess people watching around the world will be asking the question, what can other governments learn from this incident, this tragedy, and do we have similar bridges with similar designs in other parts of the world?
So, yeah, I mean, civil engineers and structural engineers do learn from failures and from catastrophes like the one that happened in Baltimore. As I said, one of the main things now that I expect to be reviewed is the design laws that are taken into account in existing bridges. Again, several bridges were built several years ago with lower design loads and also possibly not taking into account the increase of maritime advances and larger vessels in this instance. It's still early, though, to understand the reaction of professional bodies and the community.
That was Dr. Marina Bock from Aston University. So why did the ship go off course, and why did this huge bridge come crashing down so easily? The BBC's Rebecca Morell has been looking at the sequence of events.
Well, what do we know about what happened in Baltimore? Data analysed by BBC Verify shows the ship set off from the port at 1:45 in the morning local time. The Dali is a 300-metre long container ship, and on board were two pilots, mariners from the local port with a specialist knowledge about how to guide the vessel out to sea. Now, it was heading towards the central section of the bridge, which is wide enough and tall enough for the ship to pass through, but it veered off course and crashed into this column here. So what happened? Well, in this video, you can see the ship is nearing the bridge, but at 1:24 a.m, the lights go off suddenly, suggesting a major technical fault. A minute later, they come back on again. Now, 3 minutes after this, you start to see the black smoke billowing from the ship. And over here, where you can see this circle, are the construction vehicles. Workers there were fixing potholes on the road. And then moments later, a mayday was issued and moments of impact, and the bridge collapsed.
If you lose power while manoeuvring, there's a possibility you could lose control of the steering of the vessel momentarily. There are regulations as to how quickly you have to be able to regain that control if that does happen. But obviously, in such a confined area, those seconds or minutes can make the difference between having a collision or not.
So why did such a large part of the bridge collapse? Well, the bridge opened in 1977, and at its centre is a continuous section spanning 366 metres long. There are 4 supporting columns underneath it. Now, bridges are tested for impacts, but we don't know if calculations would have included a vessel of this size. Ships are a lot bigger now than they were in the 70s. The head-on collision took out an entire load-bearing support. Now, protective reinforcements can be added to these, but it's not clear if they were here.
A lawyer for music mogul Sean Diddy Combs said Tuesday the rapper was being targeted by a, quote, witch hunt. That came a day after federal authorities raided 2 of his properties in Miami and Los Angeles, and amid allegations of sexual misconduct. A lawyer for Combs said the raids, paired with the, quote, advanced, coordinated media presence at the properties, were, quote, nothing more than a witch hunt based on meritless accusations made in civil lawsuits. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security did not respond to those comments, nor has it said what it is investigating with regard to Combs. The agency has broad jurisdiction to probe the illegal movement of people, goods, money, technology, and contraband into, out of, and throughout the United States, including sex trafficking. The 54-year-old, who has gone by P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, and Diddy, is one of the most influential producers and executives in hip-hop. Last November, R&B singer Cassandra Ventura, known as Cassie, accused Combs of subjecting her to physical abuse, sexual slavery, and rape during their decade-long relationship. The lawsuit cited violations of sex trafficking and human trafficking statutes. Combs denied the allegations and settled with Ventura under confidential terms. The lawsuit was one of at least 4 civil complaints in recent months, leveling sexual assault allegations against Combs.
Visa and MasterCard have reached a $30 billion deal to end a tussle over the fees they charge to retailers. That could mean lower prices for shoppers, though consumer experts say it is far from guaranteed. The antitrust settlement is one of the largest in US history. If it gets court approval, it should resolve most claims in nationwide litigation going back to 2005. Merchants have long accused the payment giants of charging inflated fees, up to 3.5% per transaction, when customers swipe a credit or debit card. Under the new deal, Visa and MasterCard will reduce and cap fees over a specified number of years. Retailers will also get more discretion to impose surcharges on cards with high fees, discouraging shoppers from using them. Court papers show the reductions and caps are worth just under $30 billion. Both firms denied any wrongdoing in agreeing to settle. Many critics were unimpressed by the outcome, however, pointing out that the reductions were only temporary. One industry expert said the US would still have the highest card fees in the developed world even after the agreement.
With Israel accused of committing genocide in Gaza thanks to US weapons, political support and funding, a lot of people are asking just why is the US so staunchly pro-Israel? Well, the answer isn't all that simple, but a big part of the conversation is a particular lobby group called the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, or AIPAC. Its mission: to push pro-Israel policies in the US and get politicians to vote for them. It's donated to most of the current members of the US Congress, funding 342 out of all 535. Records show that it's the biggest spending campaign group when it comes to representing a foreign interest in domestic US politics, and AIPAC is spending big on getting its favoured candidates elected. Take this tweet about the Democratic congressional primary in Illinois. AIPAC is taking credit for the defeat of candidate Keena Collins. Collins is a community organizer and lifelong anti-gun violence activist. She also called Israel's war on Gaza genocide. AIPAC spent hundreds of thousands of dollars funding attack ads to kill her campaign, which she lost. So how did AIPAC become the most prominent foreign affairs lobby group in the US? It fundraises through glittering annual galas where both Democrats and Republicans scramble to secure speaking spots.
The US-Israel relationship is special and strong.
After all, AIPAC prides itself on being nonpartisan. AIPAC boasts a long list of rich backers who it traditionally uses to funnel money to its preferred candidates and also to donate to pro-Israel Washington think tanks to influence Middle East policy. Remember when former US President Donald Trump recognized Jerusalem as the Israeli capital and moved the embassy there? Or when he tore up the Iran nuclear deal? Yes, AIPAC. Or the $300 billion in mostly military aid the US has sent Israel since its founding? Also AIPAC. Its army of lobbyists has unfettered access to officials in Congress. This is where it has traditionally focused its energy and money. You might have seen video of pro-Palestinian activist talking to AIPAC lobbyists.
While you're having your lunch, just think about the children in Gaza who are starving.
AIPAC also bankrolls politicians' trips to Israel.
Hello from Israel!
Here are 24 House Democrats last year taking in the sights. Archaeological ruins, the old city, supposed Hezbollah smuggling tunnel.
It's pretty surreal to actually go down there.
Well, some American voters might think it also surreal that AIPAC's most recent winning strategy pits Democrat against Democrat. It spent $50 million on the 2022 midterms, including more than $17 million in direct donations, and it spent double on Democrats than on Republicans.
Thank you, AIPAC.
It successfully helped defeat 13 candidates who AIPAC claims would have undermined the US-Israel relationship. Don't take my word for it. It's all written here in AIPAC's Political Achievements fact sheet. It's expected to spend $100 million on this year's election. But it isn't acting alone. It set up a big money affiliate called the United Democracy Project, which also spent money to defeat Keena Collins in Illinois and is now funding attack ads against members of the Squad, the young, progressive group of Democrats, which includes the sole Palestinian-American member of Congress, Rashida Tlaib. In November, 22 of her fellow Democrats joined Republicans in voting to censure Tlaib because she used the pro-Palestinian phrase, from the river to the sea. At least 18 of those Democrats received donations from AIPAC. As the Israel lobby slogan goes, being pro-Israel is good policy and good politics.
You are listening to the Midday News on WINNFM 98.9. The headlines?
St. Kitts and Nevis CBI Unit Bill 2024 aims to ensure pragmatism and sustainability of CBI program. Diana Claxton Whitaker has been appointed as the third member of the Nevis Integrity in Public Life Commission.
Haiti's presidential committee meets. 17 people homeless in Grenada. Internationally, Baltimore Bridge collapse. 6 people presumed dead. Thank you for listening.
That was the WINNFM Headline News. The Headline News was brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, The Grange, and Caribou.
With over a century of perfection behind the Mackeson name, a smooth blend with perfect balance and richness, it's no wonder Mackeson Triple Stout has a legacy of perfection. Enjoy the world over. Introducing our new look with the same great taste. Mackeson. All hail the king.
Please drink responsibly.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com. When it comes to the important things in life, your health, your education, your choice of a life partner, and of course your insurance provider, only the best will do. Caribbean Alliance Insurance is the only insurance company in the Eastern Caribbean with an A excellent rating. We have a robust 3-tier reinsurance strategy that protects our policyholders from multiple catastrophes, even if they occur in quick succession. We spread our risks over 18 territories, ensuring minimal impact to individual territories when a disaster strikes. We provide an excellent claims experience. Claim settlement is usually between 24 to 48 hours. Our A excellent rating means that you are more secure with us. Contact us for motor, property, marine, public liability, employer's liability, and other policies. Delisle Walwyn, people you can trust. Local agent for Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Tomorrow secured.
Chaka, 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 chaka. A lot of people been using chaka, chaka.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
And we're back, I could almost say, into the second half of today's presentation of Voices, but that's a different story for a different time. So what we're going to do is go downtown and recognize our sponsors. When we come back, we continue this very interesting dialogue. Okay?
Here are your hosts with Value Mart IGA specials.
Running March 21st, April 3rd.
And now our Blue Tag specials. Old Orchard apple drinks, $9.99. Nature Valley snack bars, $13.99. Swiss Miss hot chocolate mix, $9.99. Palm cooking oil spray, $14.99. Essential everyday frozen fruit, $16.99. Kellogg's Special K cereals, $18.99. And now our very low weekly
Value deals. Nabisco Chips Ahoy, $17.99. Post Great Grain cereals, $18.99. The Colgate toothpaste, $6.99. Hama deodorant, $8.99. Dole fruit bowls, $14.99. Hama liquid detergent, $14.99. Shop smart, shop Value Mart. Tell them in Spanish.
Sea listo y haga sus compras aquí en Value Mart.
Hey, Chris Collins, how are you doing? I know you're up there listening to the program today, and you may have a bit to contribute, so I'm standing by to hear from you. Hey, Bag of Sugar, how are you doing? And all the folks up there. It was very good to hear from Sister Henry. I've not been here for a minute, so. And yes, she would have engaged in a very academic discussion. Mm-hmm. She does that. She tests, she challenges you. She, you know what I mean? So we appreciate Sister Henry. Hey, guys, we have just about 35 minutes. And we have a caller line is ready. Got the caller, your line, you're live and okay. All right, so it means that the interest is gone, and I don't know if your train of thought can go back to where we left off.
Okay, there's so much we spoke about, but really,
yes.
Truly,
okay, listen, the caller, good. The caller, you live on Voices.
Hey, the King.
Hello there, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes.
And good afternoon to your guest there. I just come from doing this sweat, trying to make a little sugar cake. What's the discussion?
Okay, so I'm here. This is Carla Astafan, chair of the St. Kitts Nevis National Reparations Committee. So we were talking on about reparations this morning, and we're continuing on this afternoon. I stuck and stewed. I'm still here.
Oh boy!
So I was about to. Yeah.
That, Carla, that topic is going to be discussed like the Haiti topic.
How so?
We are going to be discussing it continuously and nothing. We are going to form all the committees. We are going to make.
Well, Carl, had you been tuned in this morning, you would have heard where we are at. So we will give a quick overview. So stick and stay. I will give a quick overview for your enlightenment.
Update for him.
Okay.
Listen here. And this
reparations. Are you still there?
An apology. We are asking for payment. We are asking for debt reduction. What are we thinking? Because you don't hear England say they will never apologize.
Carl.
England has made it clear they will never apologize.
Carl.
Mm-hmm.
She was asking that you listen and she would update you as to what was discussed this morning. You're coming with a negative. You're coming with a negative and saying it's not going to happen. Listen. Right? Even if you want to listen off air and then come back with a response. But don't start with a negative. Listen and you'll be updated as to what we discussed this morning. And it will put a light to your position that it's not going to happen. They're going to talk. Just listen.
Okay, because I've been hearing this discussion for several years now. I'm gone.
Okay. Okay, so as I said at this morning, a lot of work is being done and there's still a lot of work to do. But we have to say that over the past year, we've had the Dutch came out and gave an apology, and the Dutch are now looking at what form of how they're quantifying what will be paid out in reparations. We've had families like the Trevelyan family, we've had the Gladstone family come forward and speak and created funds. You had the Trevelyan's in Grenada, the Gladstone in Guyana. They're also going to go to Jamaica because it was found that they owned estates there. You've had the Church of England, who've created a fund for reparative justice. You've had the Guardian just mentioned that they came out with an apology. Yes, we are looking to England, the King of England, to give an apology so that they too can pay reparations, because as we know, Britain in the 1800s took out a loan of £20 million sterling, and they paid out to planters throughout the region, St. Kitts and Nevis included. And we were talking about the fact that even here in St. Kitts, we have been able to discover a company who made an apology and are willing to make some form of reparative justice to St. Kitts based on the fact that the original owners of that company owned 2 estates and were compensated for over 200 enslaved people on St. Kitts and 6 on Montserrat. So as we continue, this is a work that is continuing. I'm going to quickly read the message before we take the call. Are we on? Okay, go ahead. Okay. Hello?
Would they call you 11 voices?
Greetings. Yeah, man, and Grand Rising, you know?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man, give thanks, Carla, for bringing forward this utterance. Reparations. Would reparations be a part of this? Repatriation be a part of this reparation?
Yeah, on the CARICOM 10-point plan, repatriation is part of the 10-point plan. Okay, so we know one of the leading advocates for reparative justice from years now, even before CARICOM, has been the Rastafarian community throughout the region. And so they have specifically been asking for repatriation. And as you know, some Rastafarians have already repatriated to Africa. So it is...
Migrate to Africa.
Yeah.
We don't want migration. We want repatriate. You know, we was stolen from Africa.
Yeah, so... Well, you may call it migrate, but you could say that they chose to repatriate because they have gone back to live in Africa. We know that Ghana... Places like Ghana have come on board and said they're welcoming.
2019, the year return.
The year,
a lot of folks are
so people have been going back. People are buying property there and so on to reestablish themselves. But I know what you're asking.
You're not asking. Let me ask you. Have this CARICOM committee met with the African Union in African countries to discuss the matter of reparation and repatriation, because if it was taken from Africa, right, then I think as a part of this repatriatory justice, we should, those of us who would like to be restored back to Africa, you know what I mean, that should be granted to us. Right? We shouldn't have to go pay to do that, because we didn't pay to come on here. You know what I mean? So now the work is over. I think we're supposed to be able to get our movement go back to Africa. And while on the African land, we shouldn't go buying a land. Since all of these things have to be a part of the whole reparations, you know. You understand? We shouldn't go buy land when we return to Africa. You see? So all of these things, you know, need to like flesh out. You know, the committee on here need to, you know, and instead of just say we're saying it, you know, reparation for saying it, reparation for African people, because we ain't saying it and we ain't need this. These African people would have put these labels on. You understand? So reparation means taking off them labels there, putting down the government, everything, the politics, everything we have to move ourselves away from, you know. Otherwise, we ain't progressing. Cause if you just asking for money to enjoy what they have to give, you know, we staying here, we're going to enjoy. I mean, we might as well just forget reparations. You know what I mean? But if we're serious about reparations, we got to be serious about the movement. You know what I mean? We're moving away from that which enslaved us and held us down for over them centuries there. You know, and we must be serious about it. To me, we're not serious about it, eh? To me, you just a thing we're playing to the politics, and, you know, it sounds good to say these things. You know what I mean? But if you don't, to me, if you don't free yourself, nobody going to do that for.
Okay, thank you, caller. Thank you. Okay, so it would be, I find it, you know, to give of time, the people who are giving of their time, whether voluntarily, and my position hasn't been a paid position, there is talk of a stipend that we should have been getting or could get, but to give of time towards this, you know, to say that one is not serious, that we're just playing around it, is to diminish.
Slap in the face.
Yes, is to diminish, because when I'm sitting here, I'm taking time away from my work. The people throughout the region and throughout wherever they are who are putting time into this, take off their time to spend doing research and so on this topic, who are advocating seriously, and that is a work. Okay, that is a work. He talked about the African Union, and I know that there was a meeting last year, that there was a conference, which was in Africa. Right now it's not coming to me. I was looking for some information on it, but we did have someone from St. Kitts. I saw that she attended out of Canada. Okay. So,
let's see what the scholar have to say.
Yeah.
You have to temper it with your presentations, your response to them, and the calls coming in. So, okay. Caller, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here, the King, and Carla, I'm back.
Yes, Carl.
Yeah, statement. Last heads of government meeting just recently held. There was no discussion on reparation.
Are you kidding, Carl? There was discussion. I'd read before the break the discussion and what was said on reparations. You were not tuned in the first half. You're not asking a question, you're stating a fact based on no knowledge. Okay? I'm telling you, and I have it right here. I shared it with our guests. Reparations was discussed at the 46 heads of government meeting, and they endorsed the work, okay, of the reparations committees and the CARICOM reparations committee. So it was on the agenda and it was discussed. There's a prime ministerial subcommittee meeting on reparations, and they gave their report. There has been this successful advocacy by the CARICOM reparations over the past decade. Okay? Thank you.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
So, as it was discussed at the heads, what decision have they come up to bring back to the committee and to the different Caribbean countries?
Decision meaning what decision? What would you like?
Meaning, okay, the head discuss it, then they are to transfer to y'all who are on the different committees throughout the Caribbean.
Transfer what?
What was discussed and what the heads have decided on, and then you folks who are on the committee.
So that was what I shared. They endorsed the regional strategic framework as recommended by the Prime Ministerial Subcommittee on Reparations and approved the regional work plan and budget for 2024. All right? And it goes on, the report goes on, place emphasis on direct engagement, advocacy, negotiations, strengthening of partnerships with the African Union. They agreed to broaden the context of reparatory justice to include genocide, chattel enslavement, indentureship, colonialism, and recognize the peculiar circumstances of overseas territories in the region in relation to reparatory justice. They requested the PMSC on reparations to advise on modalities for their involvement in CARICOM reparations agenda. They also agreed to seek to have reparations included in the agendas of upcoming SEEDS conference and the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, which will be held in October.
Okay, could I make some with a suggestion here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sounding good. Here is what the thing I'm asking. The committees of these Caribbean countries, what are you putting forth besides payment? Are you putting forth debt forgiveness? Because we owe a lot of these big heads.
It's actually, yes, debt forgiveness, debt cancellation, as I said, is one of the points on the CARICOM 10-point plan. And at this time, just recently, some of the vice chairs of the CARICOM Reparations Commission met. They are doing a review of the 10-point plan as to whether it's going to be a 13-point plan or a 15-point plan. I will find out in the coming in the future. But on the original plan, then cancellation was part of it.
What about in terms of payment, not only cash, but some of our Caribbean countries, health care is in poor condition.
Carl, do the things. Some people don't like me to say that, but you can go to CARICOM.org or you can just simply Google CARICOM 10-point plan, okay, or CARICOM and reparations and so on, and you will find all the information with regards to that, and those things are listed there because, yes, our health suffered, and as someone said yesterday on another show here on WINNFM, it has come down through our DNA, that we suffered trauma, we suffered our food that we've eaten has caused diabetes and high blood pressure and all of those things, so there's a lot. So that is on one of the things on the agenda, yes.
All right, gone.
Thank you, Carl. Any other calls?
Okay, we now go to our station break and we will be right back.
Found the sound, 98.9.
This Easter, hop into savings at Hospice Building Center with Seasons extravagant Easter sale from April 6 to April 13. Enjoy a cracking 25% off on select Seasons products, including the top-of-the-line WeatherGuard Pro, Aquagloss, and Easy Clean paints. Upgrade your home with premium quality paints and coatings at unbeatable prices. Don't miss out on this exciting opportunity to spruce up your space for less. Head over to Huntsman's Building Center today and crack open the savings. Hurry, these exceptional deals won't last long. Seasons extravagant Easter savings. Only at Huntsman's Building Center. Terms and conditions apply.
Send you quickly.
10 minutes down past the 1 o'clock hour. We are still in discussion with the chairperson of the St. Kitts Nevis Reparation Committee, and there's been dispensing information. She wishes to share something she sent me earlier from the CRC. So let's hear it.
Yeah, so from the CRC, the desk of the CRC, a message from the CARICOM Reparations Commission on the International Day of Remembrance of the Victims of Slavery and the Transatlantic Slave Trade. We can note the date was the 25th of March, 2024. The CARICOM Reparations Commission, CRC, takes the opportunity of the observance of the International Day of Remembrance of the Victims of Slavery and the Transatlantic Slave Trade to renew its call for reparatory justice for the victims of and their descendants. People of African descent continue to endure intersecting forms of discrimination structures of inequality, racism, and underdevelopment born out of the historical experience of over 4 centuries of kidnapping and trafficking through the transatlantic slave trade in enslaved Africans, chattel enslavement, historical and contemporary colonialism. The enduring impact is manifest in continued disparity in access to education, health, and employment, intergenerational poverty, and the denial of the full enjoyment of their human rights. The CRC recognizes that the current political, economic, and humanitarian crisis in Haiti has its roots in historical legacies. This beacon of resistance to African enslavement having been made to pay insurmountable and fiscally devastating indemnities to France for its own liberation. Reparations are due to Haiti as part of a comprehensive solution to address the development aspirations of the people of Haiti and restore peace and stability. The CRC calls on the relevant European nations to offer full, unreserved, and unconditional apologies, accept responsibility for their role in perpetrating crimes against humanity of native genocide and chattel enslavement in the Caribbean, and to repair the lasting consequences of early European expansion and growth. So so the early European expansion and growth. This wealth was generated because of slavery.
Let's take this call, if you may. Would they call 11 Voices? Missed by get a chance to call back. Let's take the call. Not a moment? Okay.
So you see the link. So that is what we have to understand. Yeah.
Caller, you're live on Voices.
Yes, I'm Socrates.
Yes, sir.
Jam long again. Carlo, is it possible as the chair of the committee could find a way to introduce Hillary Beckles to speak to us, to give awareness to the poor, shallow-minded black people across the Caribbean? Because they're the roots. A tree without the roots got it dead.
Jam down. Dr. Hillary Beckles has been here before and has spoken. We would love to get him here. He's a very busy man, but there's a lot of information, a lot of stuff that he has written and he has spoken out, and all of it can be found online.
Well, I personally follow up the man on BBC.
So if we are so lucky,
fight where you're fighting for us in the Caribbean, especially on reparations.
Okay,
but when we send leaders abroad, they just go up there to eat And we're watching them on the microscope, you know, because when this money pay, if the budget cannot read, poor people can't succeed. And I know it will be problem with the money there. So we're going to fight the fight, and I'm going to give support, Tyler, and they never give up, eh? Never give up. Have hope.
Thank you.
Because it's a big light on the end of the tunnel.
Okay.
I could see it. It's coming. Prophecy fulfilled. Look in the east, Carlo, and Socrates, the eye not see what one. Look in the east, it'll get red. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much, sir.
Yes,
Appreciate
so
that.
getting Sir Hilary Beckles would definitely be great, but there are other really good speakers whose voices, their voices are being heard. And so, as I said, I have already spoken to Dr. June Suma, who is on the United Nations Permanent Forum for People of African Descent. So we're hoping to get her here in St. Kitts for African Liberation Day.
Let's take this next caller. Good day, caller. You're live on Voices.
Good afternoon, Socrates, and good afternoon, Carlo.
Good afternoon.
I am 100% behind this reparation, but something is lacking within St. Kitts people.
Mm-hmm.
I believe, I know for a fact, St. Kitts people was one of the first set of persons who would have bought our lands from the planters. But yet still, Kittitians are not making noise about the land that our parents paid for, as much as they're making noise for reparation. It's like they're looking for a handout. We should have been well off, because we could have used those said lands to enrich ourselves. But today, our politicians selling our lands back to white men. The disgrace. Good afternoon.
Okay, well, to answer that caller, I remember, may his soul rest in peace, Washington Archibald was one of those who said, and he would have advocated back in the day, for after the acquisition of the cane lands by the government back in the 1970s, he felt that the land should have been made available to locals, right? Instead of continuing, he felt, and in discussions with him, he felt that the sugar industry should have ended back then. But we all know that at that time, St. Kitts was still very dependent and we did not have anything else. So I'm not sure. But anyway, but it's still, he's making a valid point, because when you think about it, the owners of enslaved people were not only compensated after abolition, they got compensated through the apprenticeship system where our ancestors had to work for no pay for another 4 years. Yeah. And then those who remained by the 1970s, the descendants of those who remained, were compensated yet again when they sued the government for the acquisition of the cane lands.
Let's take this caller. Caller, thanks for holding. You're live on Voices.
Hello.
Yes.
I want to shed some light on the caller. Yeah. Our people, we don't try to fight the real cause. I mean, look what's going on. Look. Up till
okay,
we may have lost our callers, so...
Jam say you need to get... not Jam, sir. Jam dog, you need to get postpaid. You know? You need to get a postpaid, because it's not nice when you're calling in and you get cut off. Anyway, that's just a soft moment there. So, yeah, so you understand? You see? So the caller makes a valid point. Yeah? Any other callers?
A lot of us go to the negative and start, what reparation? Because how are you going to share the money? And that's what, look at it. Okay, let's take this caller. Go to caller. You're live on Voices.
Greetings forward. Thanks for taking our call, and thanks again for the information and sharing. You know, it was not just about amassing their wealth that they now enjoys, but in the process of so doing, they're not... That is why we made the song earlier, you know, about the pussyfooting of our race. Mm-hmm. Because the blood, you know, sweat and tears is one thing, you know, but the blood, I mean, I mean, the
Bloodline,
blood, the
lineage.
sacred blood.
One of the things that comes to mind.
Beg pardon.
I said, what comes to mind for me as you say that? Because people may wonder why, just in case anybody's wondering, why am I involved in this? I think growing up under the Black Power movement, the Bob Marley era and all of this, we built a very revolutionary spirit, the people of my era. And then maybe that went down over time. I've always been very much interested in our history. And so history was one of the subjects. Is a subject I love the most. I love reading, and I read a lot. I read Roots as a 15-year-old. I remember being, I always wanted to read stuff about us. But when I started working on the scenic train and I had to go through the cane fields, I saw our people working at that time in the fields, and it gave me a visual as to what, life would have been like. Sometimes I got chills, right? I remember actually feeling, when I'm talking about the history, actually getting goosebumps because, you know the history, but the fields of St. Kitts, so much cane, and you see our people working in there. It wasn't that much difference, even if, we were by then independent and so on. You get
a big difference.
Yeah, you feel, yes, a big difference. Because of our people. But you can now picture.
Insight to something.
Yeah, it gives you an insight into what this meant, what sugar.
Because the wages was still starvation wages.
So I think that sort of fueled my passion. You understand? Because I used to feel it when I'm going through the cane, the people, the whole system. And remember, while St. Kitts had that, all of these other islands went through that, but you weren't seeing, in none of the other islands was I seeing that amount of cane. You understand? Yes. So, to be able to see St. Kitts, and you made that connection. You could make that connection, and so and I think that began my my interest in that particular.
In my era growing up, it was the norm because it's what you grew up with. You went to school. Some of your schoolmates worked in the cane field, and it was like a good thing for them. It was a norm. But from a different perspective, see where we came from, we had to endure.
Yeah.
And somebody kept saying it was it Eli X or somebody, blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah.
I can tell you, and I don't want to take away from that. I was standing in one of the dungeons on the slave coast in Ghana, and the guide was saying, "Look at this section on the floor. You can see the brick, the pattern of the bricks. Look over here. It looked like caked mud." And he explained to us that was the blood, sweat, tears, excretion of our people. To the point it covered the floor.
Yeah.
You have 1,300 persons packed in there with minimal ventilation. And the church is directly above, piping in the sounds. You have the little thing there, so you could pipe in the sounds of the singing and praise, trying to indoctrinate you in that condition. So when they ran the DNA testing on what seemed to be caked mud, 2 feet high, up, and people just shied and started to cry because you see this is our DNA, blood, sweat, tears, excretion of a people in there for months and months and months. But right above it is the church.
Yes, I got to visit a similar one in Kenya, the Fort Jesus.
Fort Jesus.
Yeah, it was the door and the door. Fort Jesus, at the door of no return. There was a door of no return in Kenya for those enslaved people. Actually, when I went to Kenya, I also met people. They are sort of different from the Kenyans because they were descendants of people who were captured
from
other areas and brought to Kenya. And so there's a whole section, and you can see just by the dress. And he told me that they are even away from, and there's, they can't own the land in that particular area. So there's a whole, so they are descendants of enslaved people who were captured, but they never got to leave. They never got to leave.
Yes, you repeated the sweat and tears and the blood, and that was what I was on. And remember...
Yes, and that is why I say sugar was just like we talk about blood diamonds today, it was blood sugar.
Yeah, it was blood sugar. Exactly. I remember blood represents lives, sacred, priceless lives, you know. So within the scheme of things, the scheme of things, of re-reparation, our ancestors who are us, and we should feel it, because I am feeling it. Our ancestors isn't pleased where we reach reparation and repatriation. They are not pleased because of the blood. Remember, their lives, some of them, some of us, we dare death and run away, or whatever, whatever. We dare death. We know the peril is there, but we don't want to stay in this. So we dare death. I mean, the blood. Why are we not?
Okay.
Blessed Lord.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, so this is something that people don't really like to talk about, and so when we bring up the horrid aspects of it, people shy away from it, and this sort of thing. I mean, for those of us who do the research, who listen to talks done by people, someone like Mr. Stapleton, who is a wealth of knowledge. I remember he spoke about, and when we talk about the blood sugar, there was someone who had to test the sugar to test the liquid, and it was done by hand, where he dipped his finger in the hot, his two fingers, and stretched it. Yeah, so, just on this scale that you can imagine dipping your finger in hot.
Moltons.
So it makes you squirm. So, there's so many aspects of this. Those who worked in the mills and hands getting chopped off and so on. So there's a lot of gore in when you think about the history. And so when we talk about reparations for what was done to our ancestors,
I am one, before we come to the wrap-up, which I'll ask you to do kindly, I am one who appreciate looking back to get the context, which is very, very, very important in terms of the subject matter. But I want to appreciate even more the folks who are looking forward, like yourself. It's a topic nobody want to judge. Oh, we're just slavery, blah, blah, blah. But for the folks like yourself and the many, many who are giving up your time to pursue this program, all the various hurdles you have to go through, it's a daunting task, but it's looking forward. We have to be mindful of not just existing with a victim mentality. We are survivors.
Yes.
And we are demanding our just reward based on what we went through and our human dignity. So I want to thank you and the men like you who are doing this diligently. And when you're faced with people saying, well, we're just talking, or you're doing nothing over the years and so on, it's hard to entertain. But there are people who appreciate what you're doing with a forward thrust.
Yep.
Right? Because if we remain with a victim mentality, this is what we went through, this is what we went through. Hey, we went through that. We are people, we survived, and we're demanding justice, reparatory justice. I want to thank you for that. The mic is yours to wrap up.
Yes, so in that vein, I stand on the shoulders of those
resolute,
the ancestors, okay? And so I think we have a responsibility,
an obligation
to right
honor
the wrongs that have been done. We know what they went through was not easy. A lot of times, and I know there are people.
I'll say what
just as just as you talked about the church, and people say, oh, we were given the Bible, yet this was done to us. And those are things that many of us struggle with, those of us who are Christian struggle with, that there were people who were supposedly Christian, and they were doing this to another group of people. They regarded another group of people as animal. Somehow our ancestors embraced that Christianity. I'm saying this, we are in Holy Week as we talk, right? So they embraced Christianity. They saw what Jesus Christ would have gone through. Yet, in the midst of all of this, they did the same. They did worse. They felt that these people, they looked at a certain group of people as being not human. And so we've had to forgive. Africans have had to forgive on a very massive scale. These people, okay? So these people, these Europeans who did this, some of them write, and I look at comments. I like to look at comments in articles. Oh, we are not the ones who did it, and so on. You have a responsibility, just like we have a responsibility to push for it on behalf of our ancestors. They have a responsibility to push their governments, France, England, the Danes, the Dutch, the Spanish, all those, the Portuguese, they all benefited. Europe grew because of slavery.
The Industrial Revolution was sparked by the
yes.
money that they got.
Yes, precisely. They were able to invest money into
the railway,
putting,
system, all that.
Growing, testing things, and so on. So we still struggle here. We struggle.
Are the ones who put the great in Great Britain by our contribution at many levels. From Africa to the Americas, the Caribbean, we are the ones who put the great in Great Britain.
So, we look, our islands are still far behind. We here in the OECS countries, our islands are still struggling economically. We have come a long way since our independence of the various countries, but we still lag behind greatly. And so reparations would go a long way to helping us.
The play field.
Yeah.
It's all about fairness.
So on that note, the work continues.
And once again, thank you for not only being the guest here today, but being the guest. All right. Jamie was calling me, Socrates, you coming? Yes. I call her and she's on her way. So yes, upstairs, we made it. And we're very happy for today's presentation. We want to wish the rest of you and the world peace, love, and a much, much brighter tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Are you ready to transform your home into a haven of comfort and relaxation?
You don't want to miss this.
Look no further. It's time to innovate your sanctuary, elevate your bliss, and rejuvenate your